the Congress has pulled surprises in Uttarakhand. One man won them the election, they made another person the chief minister. Could they conceive of doing something similar Veer, in Himachal as well?
I don't know. I was going to ask, was Kausing Thakur still training? He was the ex-PCC chief and his great rival. So if he's still training, he was supposed to be training. I don't know if he is or not, whatever. If he's still training and Anand Sharma, I don't think he's going to be sent back. I imagine they will have to accept Veer.
Because they've been unfair in the past, and that is something Mr. Iyer, the Congress can't really justify very strongly. Making somebody, one man wins you the election, another man becomes chief minister.
I think that example doesn't apply here. That example that you took up of Uttarakhand, the person who was regarded, I think with some justice, as the architect of victory, is a leader from the Kumaon region. And there we didn't do as well as we had hoped to do. And the one who was made the chief minister was made from the region of Tehri, of Garhwal, where we had done rather well. But I don't think anything like that applies in Himachal Pradesh. Do you think he will so there's no precedent.
So he will be chief minister?
Well, I'd be astonished if he won't.
And bickering is part of the Congress culture.
Well, it's always been. Any nice large party has several different views in it. That's why I'm in the Congress. Otherwise, I'd have been sitting there slavishly licking Modi's boots in the BJP.
Can I just make
I'm in the Congress because they allow a dissident.
We missed it. I thought Chidambaram had the word of the day, containment. He said Modi has been contained. He's been contained in Gujarat as far as they're concerned, and perhaps with that number, he's been contained as far as the BJP central leadership is concerned.
You made a very interesting point. Now, I want to go across to our Pandit room. Rahul Shivshankar is joining us. We're very keen on knowing, Rahul, what our Pandits think of this Chidambaram phraseology of Modi being successfully contained. You know, if the tallies are 115, would that mean that Modi has been contained in Gujarat, Rahul?
Well, that's exactly what we were talking about before we tossed back to you just about 20 minutes ago, Rahul. The subject matter of discussion here in the Pandit room was emphasizing on the fact that Narendra Modi's victory has been made on or transcends at some level both community and caste. And that is one of the reasons why for the BJP his saleability factor might be enhanced. Of course, the Congress is delighting in the BJP's dilemma. But Sandeep Bamzai, is there any doubt now that Modi's victory has taken the discourse, the narrative in a different direction, and that he's addressing a new aspiration?
Look at the state of play. 2-3 things that work here. One, can Modi himself temper his arrogance, his iconoclastic behavioral patterns, start talking to people instead of talking down to people?
The big question is, can Modi contain himself?
Most important. 2, does the BJP have it in themselves to accept him as a leader in New Delhi? And 3, obviously, Nagpur. What Nagpur did last time round was they plumped for a Maharashtrian Brahmin who was not an MLA, who was not an MP, and they transported him to New Delhi. We have seen how that has gone. So, with Modi himself, if he is to transcend, if he is to carve a larger swath in this country, has to bring it upon himself. I think it is incumbent on himself to change his look, feel, appeal, outlook, the way he conducts himself, the way he talks.
So what
you cannot have a situation where the chief minister of Gujarat doesn't take the president of the BJP's phone call. That has to change if you're going to be a genuine prime ministerial candidate. Modi is the face, without a doubt, because he's a mass leader. Look at the other people in the Delhi Darbar. Here is a guy who actually has that appeal with the middle class. Contrary to popular perception, he has that appeal with the middle class. But can he change himself? And this goes back to what Shiv has been saying, that Modi himself has to change his underlying credo if he has to make the connect with the rest of the country.
Well, many people are saying that if he doesn't, he's capable of wrecking the Bharatiya Janata Party's hopes at the national level. Shiv Vishwanathan, is that where the Congress sort of is deriving this optimism from?
You know, what was really interesting about the last part on the TV was the way politicians react to a result. I've never seen such banality and mediocrity on both sides. Both evaded the question. The question of the future, the question of the politics of the future was completely evaded. You know, if you look at the analysis, psephological and sociological, it was moving in a certain direction. The minute the results are announced, the Congress and the BJP are backed to the dullest stereotypes possible. And I really wonder what that means. Is it an act of stalling? Is it mediocrity eventually reaching the level it should? Or are they afraid of what's going to happen? And I think both Congress and BJP are actually afraid of the future.
Sanjay Jha, this brings me to ask the important question perhaps that we were talking about here. Should the Congress take away from this particular election in Gujarat and its palpable better showing than expected the fact that it should run campaigns on bread and butter issues? It should leave the politics of caste and casteism as well as communalism, one that it practices in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar and in other states.
No, I think it has. I think it has been amply manifested in the Gujarat election. I think a sustained campaign. If you look at even the Congress charge sheet, which was a very well documented, material, which highlighted all the inadequacies in terms of the performance
So
of the
therefore,
government.
those Congress leaders who are speaking today and talking about Modi in those cliches that Shiv Vishwanathan has spoken about, are they justified?
No, I think the point that we need to understand is, that there's been, Mrs. Gandhi was criticized in the last election of 2007 for having called him as a Maut ka Saudagar. Everybody's talked about it, that one statement turned the fortunes of 2007. But truth be said, that is a fact. I mean, that is a fact that we cannot refute, and is something that I think Modi will have to live through until at some point maybe the courts give him a full and 100% clearance. Although a lot of people say there's no direct charge against him right now. But when you head a government, you have a certain responsibility. But Rahul, I think the critical point, you see, at this, to take this victory in Gujarat and to discuss that, does it make Modi a natural inheritor of the future of BJP leadership? Is a crisis that they have to resolve. But I think, just think about it. Would Narendra Modi be able to handle the problems that the BJP faces in Karnataka today? That will make somebody a pan-India leader. And when you look at his recent conduct, it's not about just Sanjay Joshi and Keshubhai Patel revolting against him in Gujarat. It's also Nitin Gadkari himself that Sandeep was pointing out. Now, no person in any large political party can ever head it if you're perceived to be a dysfunctional team leader. And that is something that I think he needs to overcome if he has any hopes.
Ashok Malik, let me come to you. There is one school of thought that says that Modi has been contained. Another school says that Modi needs to contain himself.
Well, you see, running a state and running an all India party or an all India government which will almost always have coalition partners is obviously very different. But if we are to conclude that Mr. Modi is a talented politician, and he no doubt, and an intelligent man, which he no doubt is, obviously he will respond to different situations in different ways. So to suggest that the Modi model in Gujarat cannot work elsewhere, yes, it can't. He will have to evolve a new model, but he's, just like if you are running a news channel, you'll behave in one way. If you're running an entertainment channel, you'll behave in another way. So he is intelligent enough to respond to different situations.
In the normal course, the fear of the unknown stalks everyone. At this juncture, with this victory, the fear of the unknown is striking Indian polity, the hearts of Indian polity, both sides of the divide, Congress and the BJP. And that fear is not of the unknown, but of Narendra Modi.
And Professor just one point, Rahul. And while we talk about Modi's success in Gujarat today, and he deserves whatever congratulations he's getting, don't forget that as a political party, the BJP itself seems to be in a serious crisis. It's not just a loss in Himachal, in Karnataka.
That is why Modi is required.
It doesn't have any
That is precisely why Modi is required.
Modi has shown himself as a leader who's capable of reinvention at some levels. He tried it with Sadbhavna. You can debate whether it's worked or not, whether it was a confidence trick or not. But the fact is, going beyond that, he tried it with emphasizing development over communal politics and rhetoric. He seems to be someone who looks at the larger picture at some level or the other.
But after Sadbhavna, if you look, not giving ticket to a single Muslim,
But the BJP said it's down to winnability.
Or even talking about Ahmed Mia, etc. And raising the issue of Sirkrik. These are very important aspects. I think that he is a narcissist and he is not capable to reinvent himself. As my friend suggested earlier, that whether he is capable to reinvent, I don't think so.
Dr. Dholakia? not capable of reinvention?
I do not agree with Achyut Bhai. You see, everybody knows that the 2002 victory was in terms of a communal issue and the polarization happened. Now, there is all the evidence to say that he has changed since then in terms of the issues on which the elections are fought. So that is number one. Number two, the significant part of this victory of 2012 is that it was without any evident substantial support from the RSS cadre. RSS was passive as far as Gujarat is concerned. So that is a message that has been delivered.
Even the Congress has internalized that in some ways. It never raised the issue.
The other important thing that we need to see, if you compare Gujarat and Himachal, just imagine if in Himachal Veerbhadra Singh was not projected as a leader, you know, the major leader, what would have been Congress tally? Would anti-incumbency by itself ensure that? But because there was a projection of a decisive leader,
Sanjay Jha,
and therefore it made the difference.
Important question that Dr. Dholakia has raised. The BJP cannot be faulted, at least in Gujarat, projecting a leader. Narendra Modi is the issue. The Congress will have that dilemma, the same dilemma that the Bharatiya Janata Party is wallowing in today as far as Modi is concerned for 2014. Should the Congress perhaps look at these election results and say the time has come to project Rahul Gandhi unequivocally or someone else?
Well, I mean, he's already been declared as the person who will be leading the party to the
That's
national
very different
elections.
from being a declared prime ministerial candidate.
Well, end of day, I think there is a certain tradition that the party has followed over many years. And don't forget, Rahul, that in 2004, in the UPA government, which the Congress was a very vital constituent of.
It's a recent tradition.
Yeah, but then even at that point, there was no prime ministerial candidate announced. So, I mean, you know, there is a certain culture within a party. And I believe, like, for example, the Bharatiya Janata Party says that we have, you know, everybody talks Modi, but I heard Sushma Swaraj in your program some weeks ago saying something to the contrary.
Dr. Dholakia first.
I think let us remember, in 2009, Congress party had declared that Dr. Manmohan Singh would be the prime ministerial candidate. It was categorically declared. And I believe that that did make some impact in terms of, you know, that we know who is going to lead the thing. And therefore, Congress party itself has benefited from a decisiveness on this particular front.
So
at the end of the day, people are also looking to quality of leadership. And especially what has happened in the last 5 years, both at the center and in several state governments, leadership and decisive leadership is emerging as a major issue for elections.
Ashok Malik.
Two things to say. Stated, unstated, implicit or otherwise, we are heading towards a Modi versus Rahul election. Unless I'm really mistaken. Second,
unless the Congress itself musters the courage to make that declaration.
Well, or unless the BJP
those
decides.
are the intangibles.
But
Rahul, where has BJP come and said anything about Prime Minister?
Just one thing. I said that's my perception. Second, we must realize that politics doesn't exist in absolutist frameworks like in the studio. It exists in the real world outside. If the economy has still been growing at 8.5%, if corruption was not a big issue, if inflation was still tolerable, if there was still optimism about job creation and the economy, Modi would not have stood a chance today. The Congress would be sitting pretty. But you have to see that context, which is why urban India is looking for a authoritative leader.
I also believe that, picking up from what Professor Dholakia said, Manmohan Singh was the declared candidate for the Congress party, and Mr. Advani's attack on Manmohan Singh, his very nasty attack on Manmohan Singh, actually enabled the Congress to garner 25 to 30 extra seats from the middle class. So you have to have a leader. Look at the states. Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Raman Singh, Narendra Modi, Sheila Dikshit. Look at the states. Why are these people coming back to power again and again? Raja Veerbhadra Singh, once again an example. Proven administrator, known as the chief minister, and has been returned to power.
Vishwanathan, very quickly, you wanted to make a point. Let me prompt you. The fact of the matter is today, you have a presidential system emerging at the state level. You don't have it at the national level. Is the Congress party's triumphalism and optimism misplaced as far as the BJP's dilemma is concerned?
I'm bad at being prompted. The point I want to make is something different. Let's begin with what Achyut said. Modi did redesign himself. He redesigned himself from a communalist to some kind of middle class technocrat. The question now is, how far will that carry? Look, the real problem is the problem of authenticity.
Okay.
At one level you have to deflate Modi, at another level you have to inflate Rahul.
Okay, that point has been made. That point has been made. Let's quickly go back to our war room with Rahul Kanwar. More details emerging.
Thank you very much, Rahul. In fact, we want to go across to the 3D projection hologram number hub. Okay, and this is interesting because Narendra Modi projected 200 avatars of himself in 3D all over Gujarat. So why should he be the only one using 3D technology? Shiv Arur has something very interesting lined up for our viewers. Shiv, take it away.
Well, the only thing, Rahul, is this isn't a 3D projection of me. I don't think our viewers are ready for that just yet. But we nevertheless have a 3D projection. What we're going to show you right now is very interesting. We're going to put that up on your screen right now. The numbers as we see them right now, we're projecting them and showing you what the Gujarat Assembly will look like with these latest numbers and trends that are coming in. 114 for the BJP, 63 for the Congress, and the Gujarat Parivartan Party of Keshubhai Patel is 2. Of course, the numbers are a little different. That it's 116 for the BJP now, 61 for the Congress. I'm going to take that off now, and I'm going to compare it with what the assembly would have looked like if we project the Lok Sabha voting patterns of 2009 in Gujarat. Take a look at the figures. They are pretty interesting now. Now, what you've got is 106 for the BJP. You've got 76 for the Congress, and obviously the GPP didn't exist back then, so it was 0. So, you know, a pretty interesting comparison, Rahul, of where things really stand. These two 3D projections, a juxtaposition of the current assembly, how it really pans out versus what it might have looked like if 2009 was not a Lok Sabha election but an assembly election. Another one of those comparisons that gives you an idea of how voting really happens.
Thank you very much, Shiv. What I'm going to do is now take our cephalogist, Professor Sanjay Kumar, to the Insta trackpad that Headlines Today has set up. Professor, if you could accompany me, and let's try and get into some of the zones and try and understand how these numbers are actually panning out. Let's begin with urban constituencies. And if we look at these urban constituencies, several of them have just been created afresh. The BJP has run away with them.
Yeah, absolutely. We can see we are getting trends from 46 constituency, and I quickly looked at there are 6 seats for which results have been declared, and these are 3 of them are urban constituency which BJP has won. So BJP certainly is doing well in urban constituencies as expected earlier also. It is on the expected lines. There is nothing, no big surprise in that.
Okay. Let's now go into the Patel dominated constituencies where Keshubhai Patel was traditionally the strongest Patel leader, and it is very interesting to see that this is neck and neck. So for Narendra Modi to say that the Keshubhai Patel factor has been completely diminished is not correct at all.
No, we can clearly see, and that the 17 constituency where Patels are in sizable numbers, BJP is leading in 8 and Congress neck to neck in 7 constituencies. And from the post-poll survey data, we also know that there is a division in the Lewa Patel vote. It's not that it has not damaged the BJP, it has damaged the BJP, it has damaged the Congress also.
Okay, let's now take a look at the riot affected constituencies and see what the trends are in the riot affected constituencies. Over here, there seems to still be a great sense of polarization with the BJP a runaway winner here.
Yeah, because most of these riot affected constituencies, these are not the constituencies where you have Muslims in big numbers. These are about 14-15%. That is the highest proportion of Muslims in the constituencies. So there are indications that there must be some polarization, and Congress has not been able to do well in these constituencies in spite of Muslims voting for Congress in big numbers, as our post-poll data suggests. But since they are not in sizable number, we know, Rahul, that
see the
overall Gujarat
where Muslims are in a reasonable sizable number. We've kept the cutoff at 15%. Let's take a look at how the numbers are panning out over there.
These are 33 constituencies, even though the cutoff is 15%, but you won't find any constituency where you would find Muslims more than 20%. So it's all in the range of 15, 16, 18%. And in these constituencies also, BJP is doing fairly well, because out of these 15, 16% Muslim voters, approximately 80% have voted for Congress, and Congress manages to win, to lead in 8 constituencies, but BJP is again leading ahead over Congress in these constituencies.
Okay, what we're going to do now is actually... Yes.
I also wanted to put on one more figure, which is I just quickly looked at the constituency. There were 6 constituencies where the Congress leader Rahul Gandhi campaigned, and at least as of now, out of these 6 constituencies, 1 constituency has been won by Congress, and in rest 5 constituency, Congress is leading. So we have not talked about that, but I thought it's a point to make.
So are you saying that Rahul Gandhi's limited campaign did make some sort of a difference?
It's not as simple as
But
that.
I could also argue maybe when
it's not as simple as that. We need to look at those
where the
constituencies.
Congress was strong. So we'll assess that data more closely
later on,
and come back. What we're going to do now is take our viewers to Saurashtra. Saurashtra is where Keshubhai Patel comes from, and let's see what the tallies in Saurashtra are looking like right now. There are 54 seats in Saurashtra that we are tracking very carefully, and over here there's a 100% gap between the Congress and the BJP. So most of it is actually smeared with orange, and the GPP is only actually leading with 2 seats, and one of those is Keshubhai's own seat, Professor Kumar.
Clearly, in Saurashtra, 35 leads for BJP and Congress is leading in 17. Right now, we don't have the vote estimate, vote percentages, but I expect that the vote percentage for BJP in Saurashtra region would be the lowest compared to their vote estimate in other 3 regions. But still BJP manages to do well because the anti-BJP vote got split between Congress and GPP. So GPP actually did some damage to BJP, but also it helped because some of the anti-BJP
counter polarization helped
counter-polarization
BJP. Let's take a look at the north and see how the numbers are panning out in the north of Gujarat, where there are 32 constituencies, and over here this is probably the only zone, and I want to bring others in also, where the Congress is actually beating the BJP.
Yeah, this is one surprise.
Because this used to be a traditional stronghold area for Narendra Modi. This is where he was hoping to make good the losses which would have accrued in Saurashtra.
While we don't have a clear evidence right now, but one explanation which comes to my mind is that the BJP this time gave ticket to almost all the sitting MLAs, and this is the region where BJP has been doing very well. They have won a lot of seats in the past elections.
Let's try and go across to Achut Yagnik and Shiv Vishwanathan and understand from them. I want to go across to our Pandit room and understand from Achut Yagnik and Shiv Vishwanathan the story that we're seeing in North, where the Congress is actually beating the BJP. Professor Sanjay Kumar feels it's because of the fact that so many sitting MLAs have been given seats, even if there's a lot of anti-incumbency against them. Rahul.
Thanks indeed. Yes, let's bring you in to break down this result from North Gujarat. Sir, Mr. Yagnik.
If you talk about North Gujarat, what I can see that in tribal areas of North Gujarat, you start from, in the eastern tribal belt of Gujarat, start from bordering Rajasthan, bordering Udaipur, etc. So entire tribal area you would find that Congress has won. So tribal are not happy with the BJP, and one of the main reason is about the cultivation of forest land. So they have closed all the cases. They are, of course, before election they assured that we are going to reopen, but they have closed all the cases earlier, and tribals are not happy with the BJP that time. Another aspect of, you can also compare North Gujarat with Saurashtra as far as water situation is concerned,
So it's a vote against development without a soul. Is that what we are trying to suggest here, Dr. Dholakia?
No, I don't think it is. You see, it is like this, that if elections happen in a year of drought with massive inflation, whenever national elections have taken place in such a time, the anti-incumbency is at the highest, because immediate problems drive people to vote against those who are in power. But as far as this is concerned, it's a mixture of both communal the community caste factor versus some genuine scarcities that the region has experienced over a period of time.
Shiv Vishwanathan?
See, look, the ecological and the sociological still dominate. Water, forest, land. Tribals, the question of community. So at one level you have a developmental sequence imposed over a socio-ecological landscape. They're interacting in a very interesting way, and you have to allow for that complexity. Remember, after all, the BJP did try to Sanskritize the tribal belt. It hasn't really worked fully. Remember, to a certain extent, tribals participated in the riots against Muslims.
Yes.
So there are a lot of trends and counter trends that we have to understand. Simplifying it to a numerological sequence, I'm afraid, gets not even astrological. It needs something more. It needs depth. So if you want facile answers, I'm afraid I can't give it. If you want a complex answer which looks at dynamics, Each one of them have captured an important truth.
Okay,
The question is Delhi listening to those truths?
Achyut Yadnik, that's a specific problem with many people have said the Modi model of development. This is what the Congress has been homing in on, and if these results are anything to go by, some of these reversals could be projected at the national stage. Which
Yes,
Modi
that
will
is, I
have to
think
explain.
if you look at the development model of Modi, there are a number of limitations, and that is why on Human Development Index, you find not only Saurashtra but also tribal areas also, and also even North Gujarat for that matter, they are not doing well. So definitely there is a problem. But what has happened that the way middle class, and even the media also raised the hype about that development model. That is why people think that the development model can work in certain sociological or
So
ecological
it's an India
area.
versus Bharat argument.
Yes.
It's an India versus Bharat argument.
When you talk about this developmental aspects, the other fact that on the parameter of reduction in the percentage of people below poverty line, Gujarat has outperformed most of the states in the last 5 years. As per the Planning Commission data, the poverty reduction in Gujarat has been 9 percentage points. Yeah. And that is what brings
Well, that
about.
depends on which way you dice the figures.
No,
There are
but
others-
on the flip side, the per capita income has gone down. So I think when you talk about his this Modi model or whatever it's called, primarily it's I, me, myself. His whole thing is about playing to a niche audience, which is an advantage he had in Gujarat, which we need to concede. It's got a 43% or 44% urban constituency, and there's no denying it that the middle class and the upper middle class have been with him for consistent for a long time. But that does not justify what happens to the balance 58 to 60% of the people in Gujarat, which you will see.
Are we overemphasizing
which you are
the
seeing it.
negatives, Dr. Dolakia? Because
I think we are, because and we are not
this applies to every
properly we are
state
not
in the Indian
properly
Union.
emphasizing the positives. Let me raise a entirely different issue. When you are on the plank of development, now let us understand at the end of the day, populism versus development is also an argument. Now the states which try to win elections on populism and therefore giveaways and subsidies and those kinds of things run into a massive fiscal problem immediately after the election. Now, as far as Gujarat is concerned, it's a classic example of a highly balanced fiscal structure. Lot has been made out about the indebtedness of Gujarat, but what we need to understand is that Gujarat debt GDP ratio was 29% 5 years ago. It is 21% today. So this development has also resulted in reduced debt. If Gujarat's gross income is high, Gujarat's absolute level of debt would be high. But what is important is, has anything created? Gujarat's fiscal model is the most sustainable model amongst many states in Gujarat. I mean, in the country.
How can you
why
call
are
a
we-
state with a deficit of 1,50,000 crores a fiscally responsible state? I mean, to me, that doesn't make any sense at all.
But why,
He's
why
been
are
given
we,
tax concessions
why are
to
we
the big corporates.
divorcing governance from development? This is not merely a development plank that he has used. There is also a governance plank, and that governance plank plays out with the middle class. So I know for a fact that the Congress war room believes that the urban agglomerates are something that they need to check, but the rural part of this country is with them.
Okay, so we'll look at that in its complexity. Let me quickly go back to Rahul Kanwar, who joins us in the headlines today war room.
Thanks, Rahul. It's very interesting. Finally, Narendra Modi being able to touch that figure of 117. This is the first time the tallies got up to there, which is what our cephalogist was projecting, and that's the way it is. It's down to 116 as per the latest figure, but coming close to that figure of 117. I want to bring in Meenakshi Lekhi of the BJP as she joins us. You were telling us earlier, Meenakshi, when we interviewed you before the verdict came out, that you will get much more than 117. That hasn't happened. Is that in some senses limited disappointment for the BJP and Narendra Modi, Meenakshi?
No, I don't think so, because when I think one has to remember that this is the 5th win for BJP, which nobody is discussing, and 3rd win for Narendra Modi. So all the anti-incumbency and all those things have been basically reduced to nothing. And then the argument that Patels have voted for so and so, Kshatriyas are voting for so and so, OBC, SC, ST are voting for such and such. So I think that divisive politics seems to be ending in this particular state, and it is the Gujaratis who are voting for development and governance. And this is the way forward for the entire country to look. This is the way that governance should in fact be the issue for any political party to win elections, which has not been unfortunately happening in the country till these elections. And these elections have proved that one can actually rise against all these factors and win the elections. And it is, going into numbers and this and that, it is a clear two-third majority. What more do you want?
Okay, I want to go across
which
to the election epicenter. Gaurav Sawant is joining us from there along with Javed Ansari. As we look at these numbers, Gaurav, what's the word from the BJP in Gujarat? Is Narendra Modi going to be satisfied with a figure of close to 116, or would he have actually wanted much more?
Rahul, there are massive celebrations that have already started here on ground zero. Behind us, we are at the Sabarmati riverfront, and just behind us, you can see firecrackers go off. If you recall, Narendra Modi had promised his party cadres that you start working today, we'll celebrate Diwali on the 20th of December. And that's exactly what the BJP has already started doing. They're celebrating Diwali today. What BJP leaders are telling us here is that these celebrations will continue well into the night and in the weeks to come. As far as the BJP is concerned, it's a thumping majority. That's what a senior BJP leader was just telling Javed and I, that it's a thumping majority that they've got. 117, they were hoping to touch 120. They're still saying it will hover between 115 and 120 as figures finally, come there. And whatever they get, they're looking at it as a major victory for Gujarat. One important aspect that Amit Shah had also pointed out to us, he said that this time, if the Patels, the Lehua Patels, a lot was made out of them, if they vote for the BJP, one thing will be very clear. This is not about caste politics. This is politics of development. These elections were being fought on the issue of development, and that's what Narendra Modi has achieved this time.